last time I was talking about things that indicators that show that a person is healthy, and then I was talking about exercise and a bunch of other things. And last week I was talking to Peggy. Um, Peggy is a physical therapist that works at the clinic. She's really good, and reminded me one of the things that I also look at to see. Wow, one of the things that I also look at to see if a person is relatively healthy, um, aside from BMI, is how the person moves. Like how does a person actually control their body? Um, so that's also pretty important to as an indicator on how healthy a person is. Um, there's That's actually what I do when I see a person at the clinic as they walk into the room, or as I walk into the room. Um, Obviously, you can just look at the appearance of the person and kind of just see, just get an idea of what their BMI is, body mass index, and then when I get them to move during the exam, how they move their body pretty much tells me how healthy they are. Like, for instance, simple stuff like if the person cannot get up out of the chair with ease, doesn't matter how old they are. I mean, most people should be able to get up and get out of a chair. Um, but once they can't do that, it tells me that there's definitely, they're not in optimal health, for whatever reason. So movement, um, how a person walks, how a person does basic activities of living, like having a person get up from the chair and then go from the chair to the examining table. They have to take a step, literally like a 6 inch or 7 inch step off the ground and push themselves onto the examining table. And some people cannot do that. Um, and I'm not just talking about people who have an injury. Obviously, if a person has a broken bone or something's going on, they can't move. But I'm just talking about people in general. Like every once in a while, I have a patient who just cannot physically move their body and change positions. So again, that's another indicator of how healthy a person is. Now, obviously, there's different degrees. You have your somewhat athletic person who can move the body relatively easy, and then you have your professional athlete who can just do all sorts of things with their bodies. Any sport, you name it, running, football, basketball, dancing, cheerleading, whatever. They just have tremendous body control and can move their bodies in ways that show that they have, you know, superior fitness and health, or above average, I should say. Um, so yeah, movement is definitely an indicator on how healthy a person is. Um, there's also, your basic vital signs that also gives an indication of how healthy a person is. I mentioned before blood pressure being another one, and that's pretty standard. When you see a person's blood pressure being too high or too low, it can be an indicator that something is not right. Blood pressure is something that people can check on their own. They can just kind of, when you're resting, hanging out, not doing anything, typical blood pressure should be about 120/80. If a person's athletic, it might be a little bit lower. Also, if a person has problems, it can be lower. So low blood pressure isn't always the only indicator that a person's body is healthy. Definitely high blood pressure is an indicator that something is wrong. Um, and then also pulse. Like anybody can check their pulse. Uh, Resting pulse is a good indicator of how healthy a person is. Um, and again, most of the time, a resting pulse should be about 60 beats a minute. So if you're not doing anything, just sitting down, chilling out, no stress, not watching the news or anything, and you check your pulse, 60 is about the average. If a person is fit, usually about 50 or lower. And if a person is unfit, it's going to be a little bit higher. It's about 80 or 90 beats a minute. Technically, we consider normal anything between 60 and 100, but again, um, fitness level and health can indicate whether or not a person, the pulse on a person can indicate whether or not they're relatively healthy. So too high, obviously the person isn't doing well, and too low, other than in a situation where a person is very fit, can also indicate that the person is not doing well. I just thought about that after talking with Peggy, and I figured just to be complete, I should mention that moving the body, is a big indicator um, on how healthy a person is. And that's all I got today.